Yes, indeed, the Drive Connection on Radio 2000. As it is a Tuesday, we touch on the world from Mzansi. We call this feature Mzansi to the World. We have Faith O. And Faith O is a 33-year-old woman who's lived in Korea for 4 years or so. She moved there she moved there to teach English with her sister. Now, previously, she's lived in San Francisco for 3 years as well. She's on the line with us. Faith, hi, how are you?
Hi, Paul. I'm good, thanks. How are you doing?
How do I pronounce your surname? Oh.
Yes, in Korean, it means 5, so they say it like oh. So for us in English, it's oh. Yes, that's perfect, yeah.
Oh, there you go. Oh. So you married a South Korean. You fell in love, didn't you?
I did fall in love indeed.
Now, which part, just talking about, South Africa, are you from? And how long have you been in Korea for?
I am from Boksburg in Johannesburg, and I have been in Korea almost 4 years. It should be 4 years next year, February, yes.
Now, in as far as the culture is concerned in Korea, is there a vast difference from what you're accustomed to?
Well, this is going to be quite surprising because I think people often think it is very different, but compared to when I lived in America, I actually experienced less culture shock in Korea.
Yes.
In Korea, we have similar cultures. The fundamentals are quite similar. Respecting your elders, giving your elders like money or anything with like one hand, making sure that you are kind to other people. I think the one thing I would say is very different. South Africans are very friendly, but for the most part, I would say the most different thing is the language and the food. But besides that, it's quite similar.
Where did you meet your handsome gentleman?
I actually met him on an app called Bumble. We matched on the app, but we were 3 hours apart. And I don't know how it happened, but I'm grateful that it did.
And how long did it take?
That's how we met.
How long did it take from when you met until you decided you guys are, going down the aisle?
Well, I think probably 6 months. We spoke about marriage at 5 months, and I had previously spoken to him about lobola because my dad had made it very clear that I would, regardless of who I married, what culture, what nation, or what race, they have to pay lobola. So I had explained that to him, so he wanted to know more about that. So, and then he had to call my dad and speak to him about all of that and the procedures. And then we got legally married in Korea at 7 months. So it took less than a year.
Yeah, you guys were really in love, weren't you, Faith?
You sound so bamboozled, Polly.
I mean...
it's bamboozling.
I like that. So what are you doing now in Korea? Are you teaching still English?
Yes, I am teaching. I teach English. Now it's different to how it was prior. I was teaching in public school before, but right now I teach online and I'm a private tutor.
Faith, when you think of...
2 things that I do.
Yeah, when you think of everything Korean, we think of precision. The likes of Waco, Samsung, Kia cars. How's the cost of living there? How's this class distinction amongst the Koreans? Because now you said that I didn't know there's a public and a private school. How is it? Is it balanced?
I would say right now, because of inflation, it's quite expensive. The food is very, very expensive. One thing, so for us, we are very lucky. We're able to enjoy fruits and vegetables. For them, vegetables are cheap, but fruits are so expensive. One mango can be 25 rand. So that's extremely expensive. Yeah. But besides that, everything else is quite convenient. They aren't a lot of private schools. You would have to pay a lot of money to get into it, as we would in South Africa. And it's usually reserved for people that are very very rich, I would say, because in public school you don't have to pay for it. So a lot of parents send their children to public school, but then send them to what they call a hagwon. It's like an academy. Well, let's say it's a cram school actually,
Right.
and they spend so an average day for a Korean child, they wake up and get to school at 9, finish school at 2 p.m., go to an academy, and sometimes get home at like 9 p.m. and still have homework.
That's work, isn't
So
it?
it's pretty.
That's not school, that is
Just
work,
second.
Faith. Kuya second, swap.
It's really intense.
Yeah.
It's intense. It's intense. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure if I agree with that one.
Let's talk about the language. Have you been able to grab a hold of the language, and are you somehow progressing in speaking it?
Oh, yeah. So but prior to moving to Korea, my sister and I made sure that we learn Korean. We had post-its around the house. So my parents were also forced to basically read all the things that we were studying. So we had a good grasp on the language before we moved, but it's always different when you are actually encountering the language and learning it. So when we arrived, we were able to progress even more. However, right now my husband speaks English, so we don't really speak Korean. I feel like my Korean is not that great anymore, but my mother-in-law doesn't speak English, and my brother-in-law doesn't speak English, so I still have to keep up with the learning and trying as well.
Say hello to the 2,000 listeners, to the Radio 2000 listeners in South Korean, will you?
안녕하세요, 여러분.
여러분. I love it. 여러분. Oh, I love the last part. 여러분. Oh, man. Let's talk about the food before we let you go. The food, Faith. The cuisine, it must be just fantastic and healthy,
Yes.
I guess, isn't it? Yeah?
Yes, it is. I think Korean food is probably I used to love Italian food, but Korean food is now one of my favorites, and it is quite healthy. They eat a lot of vegetables. I think the only downside is they eat a lot of rice too. But besides that, it's still very, very good. So I missed it when I came home, but I miss South African food when I'm here. So yeah, the balance of the two is quite difficult.
So since you're married, I guess there's no plans of returning home. You go home to visit only, I guess now, yeah?
I do, but my husband would love to move to South Africa. We've been talking about where we would want to move, and his first choice was South Africa. So we might move and settle down in South Africa, preferably Cape Town maybe, but we don't know. Right now, Korea is comfortable and convenient for us.
Hey, take him to Limpopo, man.
I took him to Dragon City and he was fine. I was really shocked.
Really? Man. Faith, thank you so much for taking the time to chat to us. All the best. And whenever you're in South Africa, come say hi at the SABC studios in Auckland Park, yeah?
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. This was great. Have a great afternoon.
All right. There you go. Faith. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I just love that part, right? She's out in Korea. That is South Korea, of course. Having been married, she's there for about, 4 years or so?
Yeah.
She continues to teach English. It's a beautiful story, man.
It's amazing how important English is in the Koreans.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
Maybe it's a political thing, but it's interesting.
Indeed.
Radio 2000 podcast.